So according to our listeners who use Spotify, we are in the future.
Yes.
So Mike said that Spotify, because I don't use Spotify. I don't support Spotify because they use AI musicians to create content that's not real.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
There was a big controversy where I actually think they're trying to push out regular artists. So let's say you're listening to a playlist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just starts, like usually in the algorithm, like it happens on, I use Amazon Music, which is probably not any better, but who knows? But when you're listening to it, like say you're listening to, I don't know, fucking ICP, right?
Yeah.
Listen to some Juggalo shit. You're hitting cops in the heads with hatchets.
Right.
Well, it'll eventually go to like Twisted. Like it'll just go through the algorithm.
Yeah, the people.
Slightly related music, and if you listen to it long enough, it'll probably become some unrelated nonsense.
Somebody you don't know.
Somehow you go from Juggalos to Beethoven, like you know, as it does.
Mm-hmm. You go down you go down the wormhole.
Yeah. So anyway, Spotify, I guess, will do that, but because they have so many fake bands on there now that are just AI, the music's all AI generated, that'll slip into your algorithm. You can't tell the difference between that and real musicians. And one, if you like it, now you're searching out this band, you realize, oh, they dropped 10 albums in the last 3 months? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then you're listening to them, and then that's all your music is going to be in the algorithm is fake music, and that pushes out the real bands. But also, even if you don't do that, eventually you're just going to be listening. Be like, oh, he listened to so much. Like, say you're driving, he listened to so much of these AI musicians. We're just gonna keep pumping that. So eventually, you just get nothing but fake music. But anyway, what we're talking about is the DPW podcast on Spotify. Apparently, AI has broken us up into timestamps.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I'm assuming for all podcasts it does.
Oh yeah, not
that,
just us, but how?
Yeah, I don't like. He showed it to me. He brought it up and he showed it to me, and then had it like in different, from this time da 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 da, this time da da da. Because he was actually trying to listen to like the Sugar Man episode, but he was like, I don't want to like listen to too much of it yet because I haven't read it yet. And I was like, and I told him I was like, well, we tried not to spoil most of it, but we probably did a little bit. But so like, that's why he brought up to like because it would be what we were talking about in that episode.
That's crazy. So if someone who doesn't know the podcast just looks at timestamps on a random episode, you're like, so they're talking about crime and punishment. Oh, I'm interested in that. But wait a minute. 5 minutes later, it says they're talking about butt sex.
Right.
Is that related to crime and punishment? And now they're talking about the gulags. Wait a minute. That's interesting. Oh, wait a minute. Now they're talking about Fitzgerald and how he was a raging alcoholic. James Joyce has fart fiction. It would just go nonsense. So I hope it breaks down into something like that. I would really appreciate the us being time-stamped into nonsense that makes people want to listen and then also makes them appalled that they want to listen. So anyway, today's episode, Spencer, you know what we're talking about? Words. Talking about words.
Oh, yeah?
Stupid words.
Yeah, but see, like it's
personal updates, publishing news, and writing submissions, analyzing Stranger Things and Stephen King's Castle Rock, unpacking Nicholas Obregon's new mystery. Why is it better than any of the titles we could come up with for episodes?
Right?
Yeah, it's so much better. Like the timestamps are so much better than our title names. Exploring Detective Dakota Finch's past and present trauma, the unique Amish setting, and unraveling the Sugar Man mystery. It makes it sound like we're so much better than we are.
What I'm curious is because like. We didn't go through we were kind of all over the at the time, so like
discussing writing style, minor repetitions, and editorials. This is crazy.
Yeah,
I need to see what's a shit episode, Spencer. Reading recap, writing, the funny side of poetry. I'm gonna look that up just because I'm interested. With that's only broken down into 3 things: best lines in Gothic literature. What's an episode we had nonsense on?
I mean, probably whatever the...
Rejected Losers.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what did we talk about Rejected Losers? Analyzing the style and substance of the movie Sinners, navigating the emotional roller coaster of literary submission rejections, the enduring value of print over online literary publications. Oh, it's got 6 chapters. Exploring typecast. I want butt sex. I want it to say butt sex. How do I do that? How do I make it say the real thing we talk about?
Well, I guess if we talk about it enough when it comes out, that would be the title.
Yeah, the whole intro just be discussing butt sex and AI. Is that gonna be real meta? It's gonna be like, oh, talking about AI,
right?
Talking about Spotify's AI breakdown. Famous literary haters. Maybe the Hunter S. Thompson. Maybe that'd be one. That one doesn't have any timestamps.
Huh.
I wonder if it goes only back to a certain.
Maybe.
Like, here's a slush pile. Yeah, it appears it's only the newer episodes that has the timestamps. That is interesting, though.
Well, but I think Apple is doing that too. Yeah. I think I heard somebody else say so.
Here we go. What is good splatterpunk, Spencer? That
Uh-huh.
was one of our episodes. Hold on, I'm fading. Is that going to be another one? Is like the fucking bitching about the mixer again? Intro. What is... Whoa. Interspecies erotica. Fucko. Intro. What is splatterpunk? 7 must-read splatterpunk horror books. Books of blood. Oh, and it just breaks down. I don't... Piss me off. Kurt Vonnegut. Two dumb guys flapping their heads. All right, that's their title for episode 125. DBS episode 125. Oh, that, of course, that one doesn't have timestamps. All right, I'm done with this. That is interesting, though, that the timestamps make us sound so much more sophisticated of a podcast than we are.
And like that, we know what we're doing.
Yeah. You know what? YouTube always recommends when I upload the video that I could do the timestamps, and I think it might be automatic. I just always say no.
Mm.
So I don't care. But if it broke it down like that, maybe I would. So anyway, yeah, we're talking about words today, Spencer.
Ooh, words.
It's going to piss you off.
Okay.
It's going to be an episode where you just feel bad about how you...
Am I dumb?
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to be a bad writer now.
Well,
We have to find out how bad of writers we are. So stick around, we'll do that, and then, I don't know, after 20 to 30 odd minutes, maybe we'll do some actual writing submissions off it.
Maybe.
We're supposed to.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
But we can. You're listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me, as always, Spencer, the Harlem Harlequin Humper Church.
Okay.
I was gonna make it worse, but I didn't. I was gonna actually make you like an Epstein guy.
Oh.
It's a hemophile. Oh, that's not good.
I'm not even 100% sure what that is, but when you put file at the end of something, it's normally not good.
It's bad. So you have the pedophiles, they like kids. The hebophiles, I think it's just like a little older, but still very much underage. Yeah. So not good. But you're not that.
Well, depending on who you're talking to, because I've seen many of fucking reels now where it's just like...
Republicans defending it.
Yeah, it's like, well, they weren't pedophiles. They were barely legal. Like...
That Nick Fuentes video you sent me, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Everyone was calling out that guy, rightfully so, but he, like... I don't like it. Yeah, because now he was saying, what, Epstein wasn't a trafficker or something. Maybe just... Blow it all up. Just all of it. Maybe just get rid of the fucking internet.
Yeah.
I think that would solve most of the problems for a while. Just like, no more internet for 5 years.
Well, like we said, like the internet's fine. It's the social media that's fucked.
Yeah, you can only have like what the internet used to be. Just very dirty pornography and science lit journals. and then AOL. You want to do some chatting. All right, Spencer, you know what this article is about? 43 words you should cut from your writing immediately.
That's a lot of words.
This is from Diana Urban, 2023.
Okay.
This is her Substack I'm ripping this from. I'm not going into the intro. I'm going to go right into the words.
Okay.
Some of these I agree with, obviously. Probably many of them. But some of them, when I was just perusing, I was just like, man, fuck you. Fuck you, lady. What do you know? What have you written, lady?
Just because it's a word you like to use, or you just don't, you just really don't disagree?
Because if you do what they say on this, at some point you're not going to be able to tell a story.
Right, yeah. Like
43 words is a lot. Because a lot of these are filler words, which, yes, you don't use filler words if you can help it, but sometimes you need to. So let's start with really, very. Don't use really, don't use very. I try not to use either of these anymore. I've been doing that for years, but sometimes you really want to emphasize. These are generally useless modifiers unless in dialogue. I do use it in dialogue. Obviously, dialogue will be the exception for most of these probably.
Yeah, dialogue breaks all rules.
Because that's how people actually talk. I always try to find stronger verbs or adjectives for whatever I'm trying to emphasize in my prose. For example, she ran very quickly through the really long corridor. Can be she sprinted through the expansive corridor. It sounds a little wordy with the expansive, but yeah. I get what she's going for. I do that as well. Sprinted is obviously going to be better than just really quick or ran really fast. This one, I do my best. It's one of those ones that you'll find yourself rereading sentences over and over, trying to see if it actually makes sense without it. Because usually it does, but sometimes it doesn't sound right, and that's the word that. If a sentence still makes sense after removing that, delete it. For example, this is the most pungent coffee that I've ever smelled can be, this is the most pungent coffee I've ever smelled. So in those instances, I use that.
Hmm.
Also, that is one of those words where you get into that weird that.
Oh, yeah, I've had trouble with that, too.
Yeah, but oftentimes you don't actually need at least one of those that's.
Because, like, I do see those, like, in books, and I'm always, like, I have trouble, like, reading it, like,
Right.
that.
And this person said, again, sorry for the miserable example. Better off saying something like, this coffee reeks like rancid petrol. But you get the idea.
Mm.
I don't know if petrol goes rancid.
I mean, maybe if it was, like, out.
It can go bad, I guess, but I don't know. Like, it already stinks.
Yeah.
It's petrol. All right, this one is one that I fucking hate, and I always catch myself using it. The word just.
Mm.
If any word could be my nemesis, this one's it. You just don't need it. And she has just crossed out. You don't need it. You just don't. Too many can make dialogue or prose sound repetitive, and snipping them is a lovely way to reduce word count without changing the actual content. This is one of those ones near the end of a draft. I do a Control F, and I find all the just and all the that's. Those are the two I really, really try to get rid of. And really. This one is my problem. I noticed this in a lot, and it was on that video I sent you about like making your word choices better and stuff. And it was a timing word, so you talk about and then. If you can help it, don't use that. So the word then, not then, as in prolong or time. When showing a sequence of events, I remove then or try using and instead of then. Using then frequently sounds repetitive and even juvenile. I shut the car door, then tripped over the sidewalk. Then Bob pointed and laughed, and then my cheeks flushed. Sounds better as I shut the car door and tripped over the sidewalk. My cheeks flushed as Bob pointed and laughed.
But I feel like that one would be used mostly like in like first person.
Maybe. I find it comes up a lot in my work, and I always have to figure a way around removing it because it's usually not as simple as just adding and instead. Sometimes it just reads better with then, but maybe that means you need to rework the sentences. Fuck. Okay.
That I do not like doing.
Fucking.
No. The reworking sentences.
Yeah. This one I don't know if you'll struggle with it, but I've encountered this quite a bit. Totally, completely, absolutely, and literally.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't think I've used a lot of those too much.
I don't think you have either. Actually, fucking even talking, I use these words that I shouldn't be using. Actually, these words don't add information to a sentence. For example, the box was completely full of clothes reads the same as the box was full of clothes, or better yet, the box was stuffed with clothes. Next up, maybe this would be more up your alley here. Definitely.
So wait, does all four of those words count as one word?
I don't think so. Just one example of like the grouping of words. Next up, definitely, certainly, probably, actually, basically, and virtually.
I think probably I've used.
Get rid of that.
Yeah.
Again, these words rarely add information. If the sentence makes sense without these words, remove them. Here is where I know you probably have struggled, and I have been removing this from my manuscripts, but I also struggle with these. Start, begin, began, begun.
Yeah.
These words are unnecessary unless an interruption to the action soon occurs, but for the most part, you can remove these words. Next up, rather, quite, somewhat, somehow. A movie doesn't have to be rather dull. It could just be dull, delete. Now, here's my problem with this. Sometimes I specifically write in a style that is more classic.
Mm-hmm. More like literary style?
Well, not just that, but usually time settings. So if I'm writing a timepiece, I will have word choices that reflect the time setting outside of dialogue. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if people like this would find that offensive because it's like, oh, you shouldn't use, he ran forth or rather, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, if I'm talking about like a 1930s, 40s Hollywood era, that's the prose I want to have is that style. So it's going to be a little, not necessarily overwritten, but written in a way that sounds like that.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that quite. But again, they all have exceptions for these. Here's one I was a little confused on when I perused this list earlier. The words said, replied, asked, and any other dialogue tag.
So no dialogue tags.
Well, she does dialogue tags slow your pacing, and distract readers from the conversation. You could keep these tags for the first couple sentences of dialogue, but once you establish who says the first couple lines, readers can follow the conversation back and forth for themselves. Also, opt for surrounding dialogue with action instead of dialogue tags. Action will let us see what the characters are doing besides talking, and offer character trait information as well. For example, I don't know where I'm going, said Derek. You have a map, said Ramona. Figure it out. Haven't you been here before, asked Derek. It's been 20 years, said Ramona. How am I supposed to remember? It could be. Derek frowned at the street sign overhead. I don't know where I'm going. You have a map. Ramona took a drag from her cigarette. Figure it out. Haven't you been here before? It's been 20 years. How am I supposed to remember? Now, I think like in a lot of the edits we were doing for some of your recent stories, I've been making those suggestions.
Yeah.
Like we've always gone into it, like, how can we throw action in here instead of just the dialogue tag? So I think we were already doing that and just didn't really realize it. Because when it just says, oh, get rid of dialogue tag, you immediately think, what?
Yeah.
Like, how could you? But usually we actually already do that.
Mm-hmm. Or like sometimes I think we've done like we would have like the dialogue tag, but also with an act, like such and such asked while as he
masturbated furiously.
Yeah.
This one I don't like, but I get it. Down and up. Usually these words are unnecessary and you can remove them. For example, I sat down on the floor could be I sat on the floor, and I stood up could be I stood. I don't know if it's the way I write, but a lot of times I need the up or down.
Yeah.
Because the way I write the sentences, just saying sat doesn't quite work.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of writers that follow these kind of examples to the T, they are writers who don't focus on the way the language actually sounds. So sometimes, whereas, oh, he stood is better than he stood up, depending on how you're writing the sentences and the paragraphs, you might actually be doing it for like the reader is reading out loud or something, and you only know that if you read it out loud or listen to an audio version of something. Sometimes it sounds less stilted throwing those kinds of words in. But again, that's something you have to do usually in the final edits.
And that's a very I don't. With some of these, I don't feel like they account for style.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And like the way, like you were saying, like the way, like the rhythm of you use the words, like
exactly. There's a rhythm to the writing that you sometimes will throw these in knowing it's not needed.
Yeah,
but it's almost like writing, let's say a rap song or song lyrics where it's like, I know the way I'm gonna say this is either incorrect grammar, or it doesn't quite make sense, but it's the way it fits the song and
it
the
sounds
rhythm.
good to the ear.
Yeah, so like I often write what sounds good to the ear versus, or even like when you're mouthing the words to yourself, it almost feels good to say them versus just having more of a stilted prose. It's just like I'm telling the story. Like I like to actually focus on the language, and I feel like a lot of people who give writing advice don't write like that, so they don't ever consider that. Next up, this is one I don't like either. Wonder, ponder, think, thought, feel, felt, understand, realize.
Well, I mean, I don't like felt. He felt like hurt or something like it. That
well, let's
weird.
Let's find out. When you add any of these terms, you're removing readers from the introspection. For example, I wondered whether Johnny was the murderer. Could be, was Johnny the murderer? If the narrator questions, was Johnny the murderer, it's self-explanatory that the narrator is wondering it. This also helps readers feel closer to your narrator and more involved in the speculation. Again, that goes with how you're telling the story. If you don't want the reader actually viewing, like, close to the narrator or the protagonist, then you might not want to do that. I have used felt a lot, I think.
Yeah, I felt. I know I use. What was the other ones in that grouping?
Ponder, think, thought, feel, understand, realize. I use realize too.
Yeah.
You realize that the murderer was. Fuck. We suck at writing. I think that's all it is. Next up, breathe. Or breath, breathe, inhale, exhale.
Ugh. See, I know I've used inhale and exhale just to not try to
action.
Yeah, for action, and also just being like,
not to say sigh,
or breathe or something like that, because like I know like that's kind of like low tier. So like I do try to use like the inhale or like he inhaled or he exhaled. Yeah.
Authors, including me, commonly use these to describe a character's internal reaction, but some insight into their psychological reaction can help amplify a scene's tension. So instead of deleting, find another way to describe how a character is reacting to whatever has made them breathe quickly, exhale sharply, or let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. I highly recommend the Emotion Thesaurus in paperback, not digital, so you can skim through any time. I know there was an Emotion Thesaurus, but that might actually be helpful.
Yeah.
Next up, this is one I'm definitely I'm an offender, multiple time offender. I would be in jail for a long life sentence, Spencer. If this was
Yeah, you'd probably get pardoned.
yeah, well, no, because our president's illiterate, so no, I would not get pardoned. Shrug, nod, reach.
Ooh, reach is a bad reaching, reached. Like that's a one that
I tend to use these as crutch words when describing characters, reactions, or actions, and I notice them often in other books as well. So onto my checklist they went. So you don't actually have a reason for omitting them.
it's just they get used a lot.
Yeah. Because I have, like, in my Western, he nodded sharply to whatever direction.
Right.
Or he, like, as often will have stoic characters reply with a nod rather than words.
So, like, okay, say for your Western, like, he nodded sharply, should the sentence be like, he moved his head quickly to into the direction of where, you know what I mean? Like,
so you can't shake your head, you have to oscillate left to right. I don't like that. He craned his neck skyward and then dropped it with the freight of an atomic bomb. I don't think no. What are your filler words? Every author has her own quirks, and over time, so we're all ladies.
yeah.
Every author has her own quirks, and over time, you should become familiar with your own. Always, I don't like that sentence. Always have second read. Like that way that was phrased at all. Always have second readers, whether you're writing a novel or blog post. They'll be able to point out overused phrase. Yeah, okay. And then it tells you how you can find these words. Scrivener has a handy thing where it'll show you your most used words in a list.
Oh,
so he used the 5,890 times. And then, so usually the top, if it's a book, the top 100 words are like and, the, a, I. But then eventually you'll start getting to actual words like, why did I use really 400 times, I always appreciate articles like that or lists like that for what they are. But I think as writers, you have to, when you're starting, it's good to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, you're like, okay, I don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
I more or less emulate and learn from the authors and the books that I find worthy of emulating. So let's say I'm reading Dostoevsky and he's using really, I'm not going to say, well, he shouldn't use that. Like, I think the fucking guy knew what he was doing. I'm reading Raymond Chandler. Oh, this is like literary pulp, but he's using a lot of these action words like breathe in and out, and he shouldn't be doing that. No, I'm not gonna tell Raymond Chandler not to fucking do something.
Well, my thing is like as you was going through that list, I was thinking like, now does the reader give a shit?
No.
And if the reader doesn't give a shit, now granted, you don't want to necessarily always be writing down.
Yeah.
You want to have good prose and stuff like that. But like, if the people that are reading it don't give a shit or even notice. I mean, now granted, like we've talked about, like reading certain, novels and stuff and really like a lot of size or characters, doing the same clenching fists and stuff like that. Yeah, you don't want to have a whole bunch of that, but like if we're not, like I said, if the people consuming it, don't give a shit.
Well, while we are writers and we often go into any work we read with a writer's eye, I think we're still readers first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
So what we've done is when we've covered books like you just mentioned, the size, and that's what really, I always try to look for what actually sticks out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily a random typo here or the use of that, or it's always repetition and things that come in too much, come into play too much. So yeah, if somebody uses that a few times, I'm not going to notice. If they use it 100 times in a fucking chapter, yeah,
especially like like we talked about, like in like a 300-page novel, like you're gonna have some filler words, or you're gonna repeat some things and stuff like that. But if it's a short story and you're using the same amount, that's where you have the issue.
Right. Now, the ones that I actually, as a reader and writer, notice and will lower a book in my esteem are the veries and the reallys. Those are the big ones because those are they're useless. Mm-hmm. You don't need to say he ran very fast. That's not good writing. It's never good writing. Always use something better. But most of those, like the feels and understand, realize, thought, like I don't think that's...
You know what you should do? You should become like a real asshole and like use those words like while you're texting people.
Good. So so for instance, one I don't understand is you can't say he thought.
Yeah.
Because they said no thought. So it's like when you have, and I usually use thought in italics or whatever, somebody's thinking, but it's going to be very fucking confusing if you just throw that in there and don't mention that that's the guy's thoughts. He's not saying it, you know.
Right.
There's different instances like that where I disagree with that list, but and this isn't the only list I saw, Spencer.
Okay.
So let me see. I'm sure most of these will be repeated, so I'm just going to look up one of the other ones I saw. It was less words, and just see if there's any differences, and then we'll end it on that.
All right. Sounds good.
Let me hit my knob.
Play with it.
So that was 43 words. This next one is 29 words to remove from your novel, more specific. So I'm just going to go right into the list. I'm not even going to mention where this is from. Filler words. So here's an example of the words you should avoid using. See, look, hear, know, realize, wonder, decided, notice, feel, remember, think.
You can't hear?
Cannot. 24 more words to cut. That, of. That's a tricky one because I have mentioned on here when we've covered some of our books of the month using of. So let me think of an example. I'm trying to think of one that actually makes sense. I was thinking a bucket of mud, but then is that better to say mud bucket? Like, no, it's not. But like that kind of thing is like something of rather than just saying the thing. So that's weird. Really very, just all adverbs apparently. Don't ever use adverbs.
Well, wasn't Stephen King a very anti-adverb, isn't it?
Yeah, and Hemingway, and then you look at Stephen King's work and it's full of adverbs. So maybe don't listen to him. Adverbs are, you know what? Here's where this is a very controversial take, apparently. I like adverbs. Not just using them, but I like reading them.
Yeah.
I like stories that throw in fucking adverbs. I like the Ray Bradburys of the world when they'll have fucking pulpy adverbs in a literary work, you know?
Yeah.
I like literary fiction, but I like adverbs. I don't think it's wrong to write in a pulpy style that gives more action and is fun. I don't need just fucking, he ran down the street. And then he got up some stairs and ate some shit. And like, he voraciously ate the shit. Like, I want him to be aggressive, you know? Don't use them all the time.
Right.
Down, up, then, start, begin, sudden. This is one I was surprised wasn't on the last list, is sudden and suddenly. Because it was on that video I sent you about getting rid of the time words. So it's like, it's a hard one because sometimes you just want to throw it in.
I do. I know suddenly sometimes
Whether he pulled his gun out with a sudden flourish or a sudden burst of lightning or the building fell down suddenly. But if you write it right, you can actually show that without having to say suddenly. Just, and then here's some redundant phrases. Final outcome, actual fact, added bonus, close proximity, protest against, repeat again, armed gunman. I don't think I've ever used any of those.
No.
Don't use the. So examples: the rain pattered on the night's. That's a fucking weird sentence. The rain pattered on the skylight. Sorry, I could not. My brain would not let me read that right.
Is that like the window thing?
The rain pattered on the skylight. Yes, you should just say rain pattered on the skylight. That's actually one that I have been doing in my work where I look through and was like, do I need the opening the?
Yeah, I do. Like
we've done that with your stuff.
Yeah.
It's like we could just go right into the rain. We don't need the. Try to get rid of extra words that aren't needed. Next up, that versus who. That's one I always I find pisses me off when I listen to podcasts or people on the news or something. When they're referring to one person and they don't say who, they say that. Don't do that, you know? So he's one of the men that ran for president. He's one of the men who ran for president. It's always who. But I'm not one of those whom.
Yeah.
I'm a whomst.
For whomst?
Whomst. I like whomst. Almost, rather, and somewhat.
For whom?
He was rather large. He towered over the three men. Okay. What are the last one? Is there more? No. Okay. So we get it. Those are words you should get rid of. Say fuck off word.
Maybe.
But also, here's one. Don't use any words.
Just blank page.
Blank page. Like Pootie Tang's most famous song. That's where we need to be the video. So you look it up, Pootie Tang, his music video for, and it's just Chris Rock putting his hands in the air. And there's no words. And then this little Asian kid, he's fucking rocking out real hard to nothing. There's no sound. And his dad comes, he's like, shut that shit off. I fucking love it.
Why haven't we got a Pootie Tang 2?
I don't know. We really should. So, Spencer, did that
Pootie
make...
Tang 2, Pootie Tangier.
More tang. So, did that make you feel bad about your writing, or do you think you've been doing a good job of omitting the things that should be omitted?
I mean, some of those words I did use, though I found like a lot of them I don't use. I don't know, just because of the kind of stuff that I've been writing, I haven't had to do that. but then I also kind of feel like, fuck you, and just, like, use the words that you might think are the best, you know?
Depends if you want to be a mediocre writer or slightly above mediocre, because you're never going to be a great writer in this world because nobody reads. Who's to judge these things?
You know what I want? I want to be a paid writer.
That would be the goal. If you pay me to write slop, I might do it now. You know what? I was actually looking up Screw Magazine.
Oh, yeah?
Or Screwed Magazine. I saw some guy, it was a political post on Facebook that came up, and then in the comments, the guy was like, oh, I'm also writing for Screwed now. And I was like, what is that? It's like a porno mag, but apparently they pay. I couldn't find a way to write for him, so. But I would write for a porno mag.
Fuck yeah. There's a lot of authors where they get their starts, you know. I mean, Stephen King wrote stories for, like, Playboy and stuff.
I wish it was still applicable.
Could you imagine, though, just, like, you're fucking jerking your hog, and then you're just like, oh, short story from, you know, someone like...
It actually makes a lot of sense. So think of the old Playboys, right? You're jerking your hog to big bushes and flat butts.
Right.
Whatever they had. Giant tits, flat butts, big bushes, all blonde.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming. I didn't read all my dad's Playboys, just most of them. You jerk it. That lasts maybe a minute or two. You know, you hit the pages, you're flipping through. And then you get the clarity.
Yeah.
The post-nut clarity. And you're like, well, I guess I could read something. Oh, good. A short story right there. You don't have to get your book out. You right there.
Yeah.
Especially back then because there was less thing that you can't just go, oh, what time is it? It's 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm going to go watch TV. No, there was no TV on at 3:30 in the afternoon back then. What are you going to watch in the fucking 60s and 70s? Nothing. There's 3 channels. So, Spencer, Walter Cronkite after nutting? No. No. So, Spencer, I think that was almost helpful.
Yeah.
If you folks want to listen to us some more and see what we do, just mainly podcast-wise, we don't post our part. We should post random bullshit, but never feel like doing it. But at DPW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Spencer's OnlyFans, he's out there in Harlem, and he is a Harlequin humper. So you're humping Harlequins. What exactly is a Harlequin? Is it like a lady that dresses in colors?
Well,
or is it just something colorful?
Maybe. I wasn't sure if you go
Not Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Harlequin, Harley Quinn is a play on the word Harlequin. Harlequin, France machine translation. What is that? So a Harlequin, Spencer, refers to several things.
Okay.
A mischievous, patched costume servant character from Italian theater. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
I was thinking like some Shakespeare stuff. That's all we need. Yeah. You're a fucking there's also Harlequin romances.
Oh.
From the old days. But you're humping Italians. Dressed up fancy. Funny.
Nah.
Do poop it up. CalebJamesK.com. You can find my works.
Gabagool.
Gabagoo. I don't have any Gabagool fiction, but I think that's coming. I also had some news, but not good news or bad news, so maybe I'll wait till next week to talk about it. Okay. If I remember, I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Again, it's not bad. I think actually I already told you yesterday. So fuck it. Nobody needs to know anything about any of our lives.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
Fuck them. Fuck. Do you have to get rid of fuck them? Because I know you use that a lot in your stories.
Yeah.
Fuck them. What's the fucking very end, the last 2 words? Fuck them. And then they all died. Fuck them. Spencer, that was a romance. What the hell? That was a feel-good story about pets. They all died. Fuck them. His inner demons come out at the very end of the stories. Always. And he refuses to ever let the editor cut those words.
No.
That's how it ends.
That's my truth.
Like, imagine you're fucking reading, like, Charlotte's Web or something, and then at the editor's like, then the pig died. Fuck him.
End. Yeah, not even the end, just finish.
Fish. Anyway, we'll catch you next week with another episode of rip-roaring fun. Yeah, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Play with it. Play with it. Play with it.